Nose picking. Nose picking is one of those habits everyone pretends only children do. You know, it looks disgusting. But here's the truth. Your nose isn't just collecting junk, it's running a filtration system. Mucus is the sticky barrier that catches dust, pollen, bacteria, smoke, and tiny particles before they reach your lungs. It's not waste, it's a trap. And inside that trap are enzymes like lysozyme that help break down bacteria early. Once you breathe through your nose, that mucus starts working. At first, you don't notice anything. You just inhale, walk around, and live your life. But every breath is being screened. But here's the catch. Picking becomes a problem when your hands are dirty, your nails are sharp, or you dig hard enough to break the skin. Then you're not cleaning the filter, you're damaging the doorway. The truth is, a nose that produces mucus is doing healthy work. The gross part isn't the mucus. It's pretending your body should stay clean without the thing that helps keep you clean. Knuckle cracking. Knuckle cracking is the habit blamed for arthritis by every aunt, parent, and school teacher alive, but it doesn't actually grind your bones together. It just releases pressure. Your joints are surrounded by synovial fluid, a slippery liquid that helps them move without scraping. When you stretch the joint capsule, dissolved gas inside it forms a bubble. Then the pressure changes. Pop. That's the sound. At first, it feels like relief. Your fingers loosen, your hands feel less stiff. But here's the thing. The crack itself isn't the villain. Pain is. If your joint cracks and feels fine, that's usually just movement. If it cracks with swelling, weakness, heat, or sharp pain, that's your body waving a red flag. Over time, joints like motion. What they don't like is being ignored for decades and then suddenly expected to behave perfectly. The truth is, cracking your knuckles doesn't mean your joints are falling apart. Not damage, pressure release. Shower peeing. Shower peeing sounds like a moral failure disguised as convenience, but biologically, it isn't that dramatic. Urine from a healthy person is mostly water, salts, and waste products your kidneys already filtered out. Once you pee in the shower, warm running water dilutes it immediately. Soap, water, and gravity handle the rest. That's not luxury, that's plumbing. There's more. Warm water relaxes muscles. Your pelvic floor helps control urination, bladder emptying, and pressure in the lower abdomen. When you're tense, cold, or rushed, those muscles can stay tight. When you're warm and relaxed, you may empty more easily. At first, it feels convenient. You step into the shower, the water hits, and your body gets the signal. Release. But here's the catch. Don't train your bladder to respond to every sound of running water. If you already have urgency, leakage, pelvic pain, or frequent infections, that isn't a personality quirk. That's a medical signal. The truth is, shower peeing isn't automatically gross biology. The unhealthy part is poor hygiene, not the act itself. Armpit sniffing. Armpit sniffing is weird because it looks primitive, like your brain briefly forgot deodorant exists and went back to cave mode. But your body odor carries information. Sweat isn't just sweat. Its smell changes with stress, diet, hormones, illness, skin bacteria, and immune activity. Your armpit is basically a chemical notice board. Strange, but useful. Once you smell yourself, your brain compares that scent to what it expects from you. Familiar smell tells the nervous system one thing. This is you, this is safe, this is known. At first, it's just a quick check. You lift your arm, you pretend you didn't, you learn whether you need a shower or a social exit plan. But here's the twist. Strong odor isn't automatically bad health. It can mean sweat, bacteria, spice, old fabric, or old fabric. But a sudden strange smell can matter, especially with fever, pain, wounds, or major fatigue. The truth is, sniffing your armpit isn't just vanity, it's body monitoring. Not elegant, useful. Cheek biting. Cheek biting is the habit that makes you look anxious even when you're just thinking. You press the inside of your cheek between your teeth, and suddenly your brain feels slightly more awake. The inside of your mouth is packed with sensory nerves. One major pathway is the trigeminal nerve, which carries sensation from your face and mouth toward the brainstem. Small pressure in that area can act like a tiny alertness tap. Picture this. You're trying to remember a name. You're solving a problem. Your teeth find your cheek before you even realize it. That's not random. That's stimulation. At first, it helps. It gives your brain a physical anchor. Not focus in a bottle, focus through pressure. But here's the catch. Gentle pressure is one thing. Chewing holes into your cheek is another. If you're creating ulcers, bleeding, scars, or thick white patches, you've crossed from habit into injury. The truth is, cheek biting can be a focus behavior, but if your mouth is paying the price, your coping tool has become the problem. Talking to yourself. Talking to yourself is treated like a sign you've lost the plot, but in reality, it's one of the oldest thinking tools you have. You turn invisible thoughts into sound, and suddenly they become easier to inspect. Self-talk is spoken reasoning. When you say the plan out loud, your brain hears it through the auditory loop. That makes the thought concrete. It slows you down. At first, it feels silly. You say keys, wallet, phone. You narrate the recipe. You talk through your workout. But here's the deal. Speaking out loud creates distance between impulse and action. You hear what you're about to do before you do it. That gap matters. There's more. Athletes use cue words. Surgeons use verbal checklists. Your brain likes hearing its own instructions. The truth is, talking to yourself doesn't mean you're unstable. It means you're thinking with audio support. Cold leftovers. Cold leftovers look like defeat. Yesterday's rice, cold pasta, a plastic container eaten while standing in front of the fridge. Sounds sad, but your metabolism may disagree. When cooked starches cool, part of the starch changes structure. It becomes resistant starch, meaning your small intestine has a harder time breaking it down into quick glucose. Not all of it, enough to matter. Once you eat cold rice, pasta, or potatoes, some resistant starch travels farther into the gut. There, your gut bacteria ferment it and produce short-chain fatty acids, including butyrate. Butyrate helps feed the cells lining your colon. At first, you just taste cold carbs. The glucose hit can be slower than the same food eaten hot and fresh. For appetite, energy swings, or blood sugar, that difference can be useful. But here's the catch. Cold rice has a food safety problem if it was stored badly. Rice can carry bacteria that survive cooking and grow if it sits warm too long. Cool it quickly, refrigerate it properly. The truth is, cold leftovers aren't lazy eating. Done safely, they're a mild metabolic strategy. Foot outside blanket. Sleeping with one foot outside the blanket looks ridiculous. One leg is cozy, one foot is abandoned in the cold like it lost a negotiation. But your body knows exactly what it's doing. Sleep needs temperature control. To fall asleep and stay asleep, your core temperature has to drop slightly. If you get too warm under the blanket, your sleep becomes lighter, more restless, and easier to break. Your feet are excellent heat vents. They contain many blood vessels close to the surface, and when those vessels widen, heat can escape quickly. One exposed foot gives your body a small thermostat. At first, you don't think about it. You wake up at night, kick one foot out, and drift off again. That's your body adjusting the system without asking permission. But here's the twist. Cold feet can also keep you awake if circulation is poor or the room is too cold. So the goal isn't suffering, it's balance. The truth is, the foot outside the blanket isn't random weirdness. It's temperature engineering done by a half-asleep body. Long sighs. Long sighs can make you look dramatic, like you're silently announcing that life has personally offended you. But a proper sigh is not just emotion, it's a respiratory reset. A physiological sigh is usually a deep inhale, a small second inhale on top, and then a long, slow exhale. That pattern helps reopen tiny air sacs in the lungs and push out excess carbon dioxide. Once stress builds, your breathing often becomes shallow. Carbon dioxide rises, your chest feels tight, your nervous system starts acting like something is wrong even when you're just stuck in traffic. At first, the sigh feels automatic. Your body pulls in air, adds that extra little breath, and lets everything drain out. That's the reset. But here's the catch. If you're sighing all day because you feel breathless, dizzy, panicky, or unable to get a satisfying breath, don't romanticize it. That's not a quirky habit. That's a symptom worth checking. The truth is, occasional long sighs are your nervous system cleaning the pressure valve, not weakness, regulation. Doodling. Doodling in meetings looks like disrespect. You draw spirals, boxes, faces, and strange little shapes while someone talks about targets. To everyone else, you look gone, but your brain may be more present than theirs. Passive attention is fragile. When you sit still and try to absorb a boring stream of speech, your mind often drifts, then you return with no idea what happened. Doodling gives a small piece of your motor system something to do. It occupies the restless part of your attention without stealing the language part that listens. That's the trick. At first, it's just lines on paper. Then you notice you remember more than the person staring politely at the speaker. Not because you're disrespectful, because your brain needed a leash. But here's the catch. Doodling helps when it's simple. If you turn the meeting into a full art project, now you're not listening, you're drawing. Different game. The truth is, doodling doesn't always mean distraction. Sometimes it's the thing preventing distraction. Gross habits are not automatically unhealthy habits. Your body is full of small, strange behaviors that regulate pressure, temperature, attention, hygiene, stress, and digestion. Some need boundaries, some need cleaner hands, some need less shame. But the real lesson is simple. Good health doesn't always look polished. Sometimes it looks like a cracked knuckle, a cold bowl of rice, one foot outside the blanket, and a long sigh before you keep going. And if you want the same kind of breakdown for the mind, watch Every Beautiful Emotion and Its Glitch Explained in 11 minutes.